Okay, now that you've been introduced to MiniBridge here inside Photoshop CS5, let's take a closer look at the MiniBridge interface. In other words, what I'll do with you here in this exercise is give you kind of a mini tour of the MiniBridge interface. How's that? So I'm going to start off way over in the top right corner. We have sort of this bank of icons here in the top left corner. As you're navigating around inside MiniBridge, and you'll see some navigating, we're going to do some navigating in just a little while. You can use the backwards and forwards arrows or the go back and go forward icons there to essentially go forwards or go backwards as you're navigating through different directories and different folders. It's pretty straightforward. Now, right next door to him, we have this fella here, go to parent, recent items, or favorites. And if I click on this guy, I actually get this drop-down menu here, and he's going to give me sort of some recent areas that I may have visited on my computer. For example, on my machine here, I have a folder called Adobe Photoshop CS5 Pro User Skill Sets, or I have a VTC folder, or I could go to my computer, or I could go to recent folders or any of the other items that I see here. So this is just, again, another navigation device that I have available inside MiniBridge. Okay, now the last icon that we have here in the top left is our homepage button or our homepage icon. You've already seen that guy in action, so again, as I'm moving around inside MiniBridge, I can always go back to the MiniBridge homepage, and go ahead and give that guy a click if you want, and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so hopefully that's all straightforward. Now, we have another bank of icons over in the top right corner, starting with this fella here, the Adobe Bridge icon. And if I click on this guy, what's going to happen is I'm going to be switched out of MiniBridge, out of Photoshop CS5, and into the actual full Adobe Bridge application. Call him the Bridge Full Enchilada if you want. That's what that guy's all about. And then next door to him, we have a drop-down menu here. We have a drop-down menu called Panel View. Go ahead and drop this guy down if you want. And what we can do is we can control some of the different interface items that we have available inside MiniBridge. For example, we have the path bar, the navigation pod, and also the preview pod. And if you want to know what these guys are, try choosing some of the checked items or choosing some of the unchecked items and see what happens. So I'm going to uncheck my navigation pod, and what happens is that navigation panel or that navigation pod that was sitting there over on the left-hand side of the MiniBridge interface is now gone, right? Of course, I can bring him back just by heading back to this view dropdown and going back to navigation pod and bringing him back up. And of course, the same holds true for the path bar and also for the preview pod as well. You can certainly mess with those guys if you want. So I just turned off the path bar there, and now the bridge interface has changed once again. I'll just go back here and turn this guy back on. Something like this. And then last but not least, way over in the sort of on the far right-hand side, we have a search button. You can click on that guy, and that actually brings up a search dialog box. So MiniBridge kind of grays out in the background there, and then I could search for some of my photos. So, for example, I could search for barns if I wanted to, or I could search for maybe cars or something like this, right? And what's neat about this is I can search on my computer if I want, or I can search inside the current folder, or I can search inside Bridge's current folder, which is kind of neat. So anyway, good to know that that's there. I'm going to go and close out of this guy here just by hitting that white X in the top corner. Now there's still lots more to show you here inside MiniBridge. We have that path bar, which we had turned off there previously. So here's the path to the directory that I'm currently looking at. I have a shared folder, which is sitting on my hard drive, my computer, and inside shared I have a VTC folder, and inside there I have Photoshop, or Adobe Photoshop CS5 Pro User Skill Sets, and then inside that folder I have my project files, which is what I'm looking at here. So hopefully you have something similar there. And then of course I have this navigation pod, we know about that guy, and the main preview area, we'll talk about this. Now, you might have a scroll bar inside your preview area too, by the way, so you can scroll through and see all of the different files and graphics and so on that you may have available inside your current view. Now, just above this sort of this main content view, we have another bank of icons, and I'll just zip through these guys real quick here. This first drop-down menu here, our select drop-down menu, gives us commands like refresh and show hidden files and show folders and select all and deselect all and so on. So some useful commands there. And then right next door to him, we have a filter drop-down menu, which is really handy if you want to filter your view inside MiniBridge. So for example, you could say, show me only photos that I've given 3 stars to, or 5 stars, or 3 stars or more, or show me only labeled items, and so on, right? So you can kind of filter the bridge view here. The next drop-down menu that we have is a sort drop-down menu. So I can sort by file name, by type, by creation date, by file size, and so on, right? So again, all we're doing is just organizing this view inside the main area there inside MiniBridge. And then last but not least, we have this fella here, our tools drop-down menu. Go ahead and click on this guy. The menu commands, for myself anyway, are going to be grayed out inside this drop-down menu, the sub-menu items anyway, but think about where you could use this. We could select some files, and then we could come up to this Tools drop-down menu and then say Place in InDesign, or place them inside Photoshop. Or head down to Photoshop and say, I want to work with my batch sequencing, or I want to use my photo merge command. So there's some really powerful commands underneath this Tools drop-down menu. Okay, finally, way down towards the bottom, we have a horizontal slider, which will allow us to increase or decrease the size of our preview thumbnails. So you can monkey with that guy if you like. And then we have 2 final icons here. We have a preview menu, and we'll talk about this guy in just a little bit. And then last but not least, we have this guy here, our view menu, and you'll see how this guy works in just a while as well. So there you go. That's sort of the 5-cent tour of the MiniBridge interface.